Well, good morning, or good day, or good evening. Thank you, Heike. It was great being invited. It's a great honor for me, but I really can't make my comment in German. I have to switch to Spanish. I think you understand that, Heike, but I didn't have too many chances to speak German in the course of the last month, which is a bad thing. I'd like to say thank you for that invitation. I would like to make a few comments, and also tomorrow I'm going to have a presentation to show you everything about the Buen Vivir. And I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to listen to the presentations that we heard before. It was really a well rounded off event. I would stick to 5 points and focus to them in order to stick to the time that is left. I would like to make an approximation to the figures Adam introduced. He talked about figures that cannot be seen on the TV news, but they reflect reality. So that wasn't only true during the times of colonization, but also right now. It's about the imperial lifestyle in the rich countries, that lifestyle, that imperial lifestyle that is kept up on the exploitation of the workers and nature. And he gave us all these figures of money being transferred from the north to the south and from the south to the north again, from workers sending back money to their home country in the south, about repatriation investments, transnational investments, and about corruption. And one conclusion here could be that we have to create a development for the countries in the south. I have so many ideas, so many visions for these countries. So maybe these tax oases should be abolished, because they are creating a lot of problems in the south. Because if you have taxes on financial transactions, this is something we should start with. And this coincides with debts in the south. And of course, we need to find a solution for this. And hopefully, there are some inspired people in Germany, because Germany had to face these reparations too. And this can be expanded to other fields. 1932, there was a decision in that field, and that could be the starting point. So in the United Nations, a lot of solutions are offered when we're talking about sustainable development. But we should not only stay in that position that we are in right now, because otherwise we will stay in that development trap. So that's the second aspect I want to talk about. So we talked about Harry Truman and what he said on June 20, 1949, when it was about humanity, about left and right, and about overcoming the underdevelopment, going towards development. And I would like to talk about the outcome. But first, I need to mention something else that he mentioned. You have to say that all these ideas are coming from the basis, from the colony, from exploitation that originates from Europe. Capitalism profited from that, and that's also connected to the elites in the South. And this is something you need to understand. There are developing countries. That's a euphemism, in fact, because um, development never stops, even if you're underdeveloped, for instance. Andre Günther Frank, a German who lived in the United States for quite a while, he talked about the colonial relationship that still lingered after the colonies were abolished, led to the problems still continuing. And we had been underdeveloped. So talking about civilized countries, non-civilized countries, barbarous countries, civilizations, this has an impact. It has something to do with development, and it's important to be aware that everything comes from outside. Everything that comes from outside is better than what we have at home, and we need to copy what they have outside of our country, and we need to get better, and that's a problem. And this is what he said. He said that development is a child of Europe. So that was Eurocentristic indeed. So in the United States, the American way of life, this is something that even strengthened that aspect. So, and that's Eurocentricity, in fact. And another point that is really in the center is that we need to see all the different elements characterizing development, or have characterized development in the past 70 years. So we heard it's everything having to do with authority, with overcoming, with technology. He talked about depoliticizing about the differences. We thought that it's only about the development or the society that has an impact on development. They said only if some countries are doing bad, others are doing perfectly fine. But it's there is something more important to it. A lot of capacities have been destroyed in order to have these poor, underdeveloped countries, however you may call them. They were destroyed. They were robbed of their potential to solve their problems themselves. So this Eurocentric was an issue. People try to be like someone else, someone who's further developed. And there is this third world, which I insist on is a wrong term for these countries. So these countries want to be different. They also a fourth aspect that is very important that was in the presentation. He talked about the cycle of development. He saw that that was like a vicious circle. There was a problem, then they tried to find a promise and devised strategies and recipes, and that led to failure in the end. So this was something that has been used in the past decades, giving name to the child. It was development, social development, and it was development with respect of gender, and then with the women, indigenous people, then ethnic development on a global level. So we always found a new name for basically the same concept, which we did not discuss. And I think that is fundamental. I am from Ecuador, a country in the global south, and it has been quite a while that we have been knowing that this country is underdeveloped. We cannot talk about development because it's a euphemism. We need to work out the content of the concepts in order to know what this is all about. I ask myself, when did I start to become aware of the fact that I am living in an underdeveloped country? I was sitting at my desk, and something that was important to me as a child was that I am living in an underdeveloped country. There was this train, this locomotive that was a present from my parents when I was 7 years old, and I still have it. So that means that things from outside coming in were better than what we had in our country. This was standing for development, and our toys, our national toys, were standing for being underdeveloped. And I studied development. I studied in Germany different studies in Germany concerning development. And after that, I was a teacher for aspects of development, and I made ends meet doing that. So now I'm almost 73 years old, and I feel like a professor who's specialized in focusing on a star, which is the star of development. And I see that that star has no light, emits no light, and never had any light. So this was just something from outer space. And I come to the conclusion that we need to start to overcome this development. How many countries have developed? We can make a list of them, but let me ask another question. Are the rich countries developed countries? Let's have a look at Germany. How many children less than 5 years old are living in poverty? How many people that are already retired are living in poverty? So what's the difference between poor and rich in one of the most competitive economies like the German economy is? So let's take one step further. So if you have people living with the same standard of living, just like a citizen of the United States, we would need 6 planets for that. And this is really a perversion. So reality, this is what we think is something that helps us solve these problems. But I think it's important to know that this vision of development needs to be replaced. We need to open new doors. We need to help people to have a life that is worth living. And I really agree to the fact like solidarity should be a mechanism to create a pluriverse like that, where we have different realities that still fit on our planet. And these realities should make sure that all people could live in dignity. And in order to come to the end, I would like to you to read a comment of a priest who is already left us. He was a great person. He had great thoughts, and he was invited to a conference in North America among a group of young people that went to South America for development work. And in his discourse, in his notice of April 28, 1968, he said that the things that we want to do are worth nothing. You have to learn that it's important to have a global dialogue. Nobody has all the answers, has all the knowledge. We need to create these conditions among all people so that even our grandchildren can live peacefully and in equality. Thank you very much.